The Heist at the British Museum, Part I, The Mask of Vishanti. The moon hung low over London, its silvery light casting soft, uneven shadows across the ancient walls of the British Museum. A sharp wind carried the chill of the Thames, but Selina felt none of it. The panther thief crouched atop a stone gargoyle on the museum's roof, her sleek black coat blending seamlessly with the darkness. Her golden eyes gleamed with a predator's focus, locked on her target, the Mask of Vishanti. The mask, rumored to grant clarity of thought and the ability to peer into hidden truths, sat in an ornate display case on the museum's third floor. Selina sniffed the air. She could sense the faint buzz of magic surrounding the building, mingling with the earthy scents of stone and mortar. This job was different. There was power here, a pulse of ancient sorcery that even she, with her sharpened senses, could feel. It excited her. Her ears flicked toward the sound of distant voices. Guards. Two of them, strolling casually near the museum's back entrance. Their laughter echoed faintly, unaware of the silent predator above. Selina's lips curled in a sly smile. They were no threat. Selina padded silently along the edge of the roof, her movements fluid and deliberate. Reaching the skylight, she peered inside. The museum's third floor was dimly lit, with beams of light crisscrossing the air, laser security. She studied the layout. The lasers formed an intricate web, but to her, they were a puzzle to be solved, a dance to be performed. Her claws clicked softly as she unlatched the skylight. She slipped inside with a grace that defied gravity, landing silently on a marble railing. Below her was the Hall of Antiquities, where the Mask of Vishanti rested in its golden case. But before Selina could descend, her nose twitched. Magic. Old and potent. Selina descended carefully, weaving through the lasers with feline precision. Every leap, twist, and turn was measured to perfection, her body moving like a shadow caught in the rhythm of the night. As she neared the pedestal, the air grew heavy, charged with energy. She paused, narrowing her eyes. The Mask of Vishanti was beautiful, a masterpiece of delicate etching and glowing opal inlays. But the glass case surrounding it shimmered faintly, pulsing with a soft, iridescent light. A ward, no doubt. Selina circled the pedestal, her keen eyes scanning the floor and walls. Runes were etched into the marble tiles, forming a complex network around the display. She recognized some of the symbols, wards of containment, alarms, perhaps even curses. Too clever for most thieves, she murmured to herself, her voice a low purr. But not for me. Selina sat back on her haunches, studying the runes. Her mind worked quickly, recalling scraps of knowledge from her encounters with mags and their tomes. She extended a claw and began tracing over one of the symbols, careful not to disturb its energy. With a faint flick of her wrist, she connected two lines, causing the rune to flicker and die. But the moment she deactivated the first ward, a soft hum filled the air. The remaining runes glowed brighter, and a faint mist began to rise from the floor. Selina's ears flattened against her skull. A fail-safe. The mist coalesced into a spectral form, a guardian made of shimmering blue light, vaguely humanoid but with elongated limbs and claw-like fingers. It floated above the ground, eyeless but aware, turning toward Selina with deliberate menace. Selina didn't hesitate. With a mighty leap, she launched herself toward the guardian, her claws slashing through its glowing form. It howled, its incorporeal body rippling, but it didn't vanish. Instead, the guardian lashed out with an energy swipe, narrowly missing her as she twisted midair. Selina growled. This wasn't a fight she could win by brute force. She needed to outsmart it. Darting back toward the pedestal, she examined the remaining runes even as the guardian closed in. Its movements were slow but relentless, its claws raking the air just behind her tail. Her eyes fell on a central rune directly beneath the case, a keystone. If she could disrupt it. Selena lunged for the pedestal, sliding beneath a swipe from the guardian. She slashed at the keystone rune with her claws, severing the delicate lines etched into the marble. The entire ward system collapsed in a flash of light, and the guardian dissolved into nothingness with a final, ghostly wail. Panting slightly, Selena rose to her feet. The shimmering glow around the glass case had vanished. She tapped a claw against the glass, and it cracked easily. "Too easy," she whispered, plucking the mask of Vishanti from its perch. It felt warm in her paws, almost alive. She couldn't help but admire its craftsmanship for a brief moment before slipping it into a satchel at her side. But as she turned to leave, the sound of slow clapping filled the hall. Selena froze, her fur bristling. From the shadows emerged a figure, draped in a cloak of deep crimson. His face was obscured, but his presence radiated power. "Well done, thief," the figure said, his voice smooth and mocking. "But did you really think it would be that simple?" Selena's tail flicked in irritation. "And who might you be?" she asked, her voice calm despite the tension crackling in the air. "A guardian of sorts," the figure replied. "And you've just stolen something very precious to me." Selena lowered her stance, muscles coiling in preparation. "You'll have to catch me first," she said with a sharp grin. And with that, she leapt into the shadows, the mask of Vishanti safely in her grasp, and a powerful foe on her trail. The Heist at the British Museum, Part 2, The Idol of Cetotics. Selena crouched on the edge of the museum's west wing, the first hints of dawn beginning to lighten the horizon. The mask of Vishanti lay secure in her hidden den, but she wasn't done yet. Tonight's target had proven far more elusive, the idol of Cetotics. A statue carved from obsidian and veined with blood-red jasper, the idol was said to hold the essence of an ancient serpent god. Its power was rumored to grant dominion over minds, a treasure too tempting for Selena to resist. But this time, it wasn't just the museum's magical defenses hindering her. The idol of Cetotics seemed to know it was being hunted. Every attempt she made to approach the artifact had been thwarted by bizarre phenomena, traps activating without cause, paths shifting as if the museum itself resisted her intrusion, and even moments where her sharp instincts faltered, leaving her lost and disoriented. Selena, however, was nothing if not determined. Night 1, the puzzle room. The idol was housed in the Hall of Mythic Relics, a vast chamber filled with artifacts steeped in legend. At its heart stood a pedestal surrounded by 7 concentric rings of stone tiles, each engraved with arcane symbols. Selena entered the room cautiously, her ears twitching as she scanned for traps. The air smelled of burnt incense and cold iron, a sign of potent wards. She approached the first ring, studying the symbols. As her paw hovered over a tile, the stone beneath her feet began to shift. With a rumble, the entire floor transformed into a shifting labyrinth, the rings rearranging themselves into a new, impenetrable pattern. Selena leapt back, narrowly avoiding being crushed between 2 spinning slabs of stone. "Lovely," she muttered, tail flicking with irritation. For hours, she studied the patterns, testing her theory that the rings responded to the symbols she touched. Each move brought her closer, but the rings reset the moment she reached the 3rd layer. The idol remained infuriatingly out of reach, its gemstone eyes gleaming with silent mockery. Night 2, the illusory guardian. Determined not to be bested, Selina returned the next night. This time, she brought tools, a small mirror to reflect light, a pouch of powdered silver to reveal invisible runes, and a piece of enchanted chalk gifted by an old sorcerer she once tricked. She bypassed the first 2 layers with ease, tracing the correct sequence of symbols based on the reflected light and the chalk's reactions. But as she reached the 3rd ring, the air grew thick, and the room seemed to darken. A low hiss echoed through the chamber, and from the shadows emerged a massive serpent made of smoke and fire. Its glowing eyes locked onto her, and it struck. Selina rolled to the side, her claws scraping against the stone as she narrowly avoided its fanged maw. The serpent coiled, blocking her path to the idol. Each time she struck at it, her claws passed through its ethereal form, while its fiery tail singed her fur. The battle raged until dawn, leaving her panting and frustrated. She retreated, her pride wounded but her resolve intact. Night 3, an unexpected discovery. Selina returned for the 3rd night, this time intent on finding a new approach. She prowled the perimeter of the Hall of Mythic Relics, searching for clues. Her sharp eyes caught a faint glimmer in the shadows, a hidden door etched into the wall. Prying it open with her claws, she slipped into a narrow passageway that led to a secret chamber beneath the hall. The air was cooler here, and the walls were lined with forgotten treasures, each coated in dust and cobwebs. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, and atop it rested an ornate medallion shaped like a serpent devouring its own tail. Selina felt a pulse of energy as she approached. The medallion seemed to hum in her presence, its surface shimmering with iridescent light. "This wasn't in the plans," she muttered, her paw hesitating over the artifact. The moment she touched it, the chamber filled with a flash of green light. The wall seemed to ripple, and a voice hissed in her mind. "The seeker of the idol finds a different prize. The fang of Cetotyx serves only the worthy." Selina pulled her paw back, but the medallion clung to her, its magic wrapping around her wrist like a living thing. She felt its power coursing through her, a connection to something ancient and serpentine, a whispering presence that promised secrets and strength. The walls of the chamber began to tremble, and Selina bolted, narrowly escaping as the hidden room collapsed behind her. She emerged back in the hall, heart racing, the medallion now a golden band wrapped snugly around her foreleg. The cost of the idol. For the rest of the night, Selina tried to approach the idol of Cetotyx again. But each attempt failed. The shifting rings refused her entry, the serpent guardian reappeared stronger than ever, and the whispers of the medallion seemed to distract her, pulling her focus away from the puzzle. Finally, as the first rays of sunlight crept through the stained glass windows, Selina sat back on her haunches, exhausted and scowling. The idol remained out of reach, its crimson veins glowing mockingly in the dawn light. But as she gazed at the medallion on her leg, a smile tugged at her lips. This was no ordinary treasure. Whatever power it held, it had chosen her. And for now, that would have to be enough. Selina slipped into the shadows, leaving the idol of Cetotyx untouched. Yet the medallion's whispers filled her mind with new plans, new possibilities. Perhaps the heist hadn't gone as intended, but Selina never left empty-pawed. The Heist at the British Museum, Part 3, The Staff of Amercratius. Selina prowled the museum's dimly lit hall of arcane weapons, her golden eyes fixed on the staff of Amercratius. The staff, a twisting column of dark wood wrapped in veins of gold, was topped with a gleaming sapphire said to contain the power of storms. A treasure of this magnitude would secure her reputation as the greatest thief in the world. Yet, something felt off. Selina crouched low, her nose twitching. The staff gave off no hum of magic, no trace of the ancient energy she had come to expect from true artifacts. She narrowed her eyes and crept closer. Her paw brushed against the marble floor as she moved with the silence of a shadow. Reaching the pedestal, she inspected the staff closely. The sapphire glinted beautifully under the display lights, but its brilliance felt hollow. She extended a claw and tapped the staff gently. The dull clink confirmed her suspicions. It was a replica. Selena's tail lashed in irritation. A decoy. Really, she muttered. The truth about the staff. Selena's keen mind worked quickly. The British Museum wasn't known for deception. If the real staff wasn't here, it must have been removed. But by whom? And why? Her answer came in the form of a passing guard. Hidden in the shadows, she overheard two guards conversing. "That staff's not even real," one said, leaning lazily against the wall. "The genuine thing's in the private collection of some big-shot collector. Mark Itenbuch, or something like that." Selena's ears perked up. Mark Itenbuch. The name was familiar, a reclusive millionaire and renowned antiquities hoarder. Rumors swirled about his collection, said to rival even the world's most prestigious museums. If the real staff of Amercratius existed, it would be in his possession. The hunt was far from over. The mansion of Mark Itenbuch. Itenbuch's mansion sat on a sprawling estate just outside the city. A fortress of stone and steel, it bristled with modern security and ancient magic alike. Its high walls were crowned with iron spikes, and the grounds were patrolled by guards armed with more than just mundane weapons. Selena could smell the faint tang of enchanted steel as she watched from the tree line. The mansion itself was a masterpiece of Gothic architecture, its spires reaching toward the heavens. Runes were etched into the stonework, glowing faintly in the moonlight. Selena could feel the layers of protection surrounding the building, wards to repel intruders, curses to ensnare them, and traps to ensure they never left. She grinned. A challenge worthy of her talents. Breaking in. Selena began her infiltration at the estate's outer wall. Leaping effortless to the top, she landed silently among the shadows. Her sharp eyes spotted tripwire wards strung between the trees, invisible to anyone but the most observant. She plucked a vial from her satchel, powdered chalk infused with fairy dust, and sprinkled it lightly. The air shimmered, revealing a web of glowing threads. Avoiding the threads with feline grace, she crept toward the mansion. The guards, though vigilant, were no match for her agility. She slipped past them like smoke, her black coat blending seamlessly with the night. The mansion's main entrance was heavily warded, but Selena had no intention of using it. She scaled the side of the building, her claws finding purchase in the ornate stonework. Reaching a balcony, she peered inside. The room beyond was dark, but her keen eyes picked out the faint glow of a magical trap near the doorframe. She traced the runes with a claw, careful not to activate them. The enchantment was a standard alarm spell, linked to a network of other wards. Disabling it would alert the entire mansion. Instead, she used a small mirror to redirect a sliver of moonlight onto the rune's keystone, short-circuiting the spell just long enough to slip inside. The trophy room. Selena navigated the mansion's labyrinthine halls with ease, her sharp senses guiding her past traps and patrolling guards. It wasn't long before she reached her destination, Itenbuch's trophy room. The door was a massive slab of reinforced steel, etched with protective glyphs. Selena studied it for a moment, then reached for her satchel. From it, she withdrew a delicate lockpick infused with phoenix feather. The tool hummed softly as it interacted with the magic in the lock, and within moments, the door clicked open. The room beyond was breathtaking. Shelves lined with priceless artifacts, walls adorned with ancient weapons, and at the center of it all, the staff of Amercratius. The real one. Its sapphire pulsed with an inner light, casting dancing shadows across the room. Selina stepped inside, her paws silent on the polished floor. But the moment she approached the staff, a low growl filled the air. From the shadows emerged a creature, a hulking construct of stone and metal, its eyes glowing with a malevolent red light. The final challenge. The golem lunged at her, its massive fists slamming into the floor where she had stood moments before. Selina darted to the side, her agility keeping her just out of reach. The construct was powerful but slow, and she used its size against it, alluring it into smashing through shelves and walls. As the battle raged, Selina spotted the staff's pedestal. It was surrounded by a ring of glowing runes, the source of the golem's power. If she could disable them. With a burst of speed, she sprinted toward the pedestal. The golem roared and gave chase, but Selina was too fast. She leapt onto the pedestal, her claws slashing through the runes. The glow faded, and the golem froze mid-stride, its body collapsing into a pile of rubble. Panting, Selina reached for the staff. The moment her paw closed around it, she felt its power, raw and untamed, like the fury of a storm. Escape. With the staff secured, Selina didn't waste time. Alarms blared as the mansion's defenses reactivated, but she was already on the move. She leapt from a second-story window, landing gracefully in the gardens below. The guards were in disarray, their shouts growing distant as she vanished into the night. A prize worth stealing. Back in her hidden den, Selina admired her prize. The staff of Amercratius was more than she had imagined, its power pulsing with every crackle of energy in the sapphire. This heist had been her most difficult yet, but as she ran a paw along the staff's smooth surface, she couldn't help but smile. 3 artifacts, she purred to herself, her golden eyes gleaming. And not a single soul who can stop me.